All right, welcome everybody. Excited to have this webinar. It's going to be about the NAR settlement. So NAR settlement strategies and navigating the new normal. So this has been pretty big news this year for anybody in the real estate space. It's been, I think, a wild ride for some people, a lot of emotions, a lot of fear, what's going to happen, what's going to change. And what's exciting about this webinar is we have such a diverse group with us today, a bunch of people from the industry. So we have Jordan Vreeland, the visionary behind Vreeland Real Estate. We have Rudy Hernandez, CEO and founder of New World Title. We have Cass, we have Amber, two of Vreeland Real Estate's top producing agents. So just an awesome, diverse group with a bunch of different takes on what's really going on out there. And they're going to go over just kind of maybe a brief overview of what's happening. So maybe where it all started. We're going to touch on the challenges that are out there, how we're adapting, what's really going on, just the word on the street. So we'll get cranking here. We're going to start with Jordan and Rudy. So Jordan, maybe on your take on the brokerage side, can you just maybe touch on like some of the challenges? Maybe start with where it started. Like in March, we know the settlement or the agreement happened. Then August, it became D-Day, right? That's when everybody was kind of ready to freak out or adapt and overcome. And maybe just touch on what's going on and what the new landscape looks like in the real estate space.
Yeah, thanks, Jason. So it happened and it got delayed after that. And then it was hurry up and the earth is going to crumble. Uh, we role played like we talked about, and we talk about all the time. Role played really strong. And I was really proud of the team coming together and doing that. Uh, as I know from being in other spaces in this business, there's a lot of things that change and you have to adapt really fast. If you don't adapt, and if you don't see it coming, you're going to get left behind. So has it been a massive change since the BBA took into effect? Not really. And I have two of my top guns on here to basically tell you.
Interesting. Interesting. We'll definitely dig deep into that piece. Looking forward to that. I think some of the attendees are for sure too. Rudy, how about on your end? I mean, with New World Title, I mean, you built this amazing business. Like you guys are just crushing it every year. And I have to mention the Halloween party again. If you haven't been to Miami and a New World Title Halloween party, you got to go. It's an epic event down there. And you throw these mega events where you're networking with some of the best in the industry. You've got so many connections in the space, huge operation. Has it affected you guys at all?
I'm going to echo the same sentiments that Jordan just expressed. It really hasn't been much change at all. I think the only dynamic for us that has been different is monitoring the commission structures and ensuring that we're getting the settlement statements and the CDs out to every agent and wake them up and say, look at this and make sure that the commissions are accurate and right. But that's it. Outside is just some paperwork that's on us to review to make sure it's in line with the closing disclosures and the settlement statements. I haven't seen much change at all. It hasn't affected our business in any way, shape, or form.
That's interesting. Okay. And that's because there's so much hoopla. I mean, I know unfortunately the news can really exaggerate and create this uncertainty and doubt with everything that's going on in the world in general, but especially in some spaces, right? And I think the NAR thing just freaked a lot of people out. And there's people leaving the industry without even really trying to overcome that first, right? And see what the reality is going to be once this thing happens and comes to fruition. So interesting take so far, gentlemen. Wow. Let's get the agents involved because you guys are in the thick of it the most, right? So as far as Cass and Amber, how have you guys adapted to this new model? Who wants to start? Amber?
We're going to say ladies first on this.
I
Ladies
knew you were
first.
going to
What a
do that.
gentleman.
Yeah, I mean, not to like toot a horn, but my process hasn't changed. I think, for anybody that has actually worked on a craft, throughout real estate, I mean, our commission has always been negotiable, right? So I have negotiated my commission since the beginning of time. Like, I know what I'm bringing to you. I know I am professional. I have a very well qualified, client that I bring into your seller, and that comes with a cost. So if I'm not satisfied with that commission or, we have to come to some terms. So I've always had, that a part of my business. So I've negotiated commission. Fun fact, we could always do that, guys. But it hasn't changed at all, you know. But one thing I will say is I'm actually having better conversations on the other side, you know, because I think sellers are maybe a little more cautious with who they are selecting as listing agents, right? So we have the ability to have more like clean, crisp conversations, like somebody with a brain on the other side of this, you know, like not just somebody that got lucky and found this lead on Zillow and they don't know how to work a listing. So sometimes, you know, just remembering like, oh, wow, like this is somebody that knows what they're doing. Like, so I'm finding having better transactions with more crisp agents on the other side.
Interesting. So the fact that you haven't really changed your business model too much, I'm starting to see a theme here.
Not at all. Not at all.
Wow. Okay, Cass, how about you?
Yeah, I'm gonna piggyback off of what Amber had said. I really haven't changed the style of the way I do business. I mean, from the beginning of time, buyers have always been responsible for paying the commission to the buyer's broker. So that hasn't really changed. The one adjustment I've been able to make is, prior you would know what you're getting from the seller before you make an offer. That's the one thing that's changed. So one thing that I know that my team and I have really been trying to focus on is getting in touch with the seller or the listing agent, build that rapport with them, that really understand what that commission is. Maybe ask up front so you know what you're getting yourself into. But from a buyer standpoint, nothing's really changed. You're still selling yourself and you're still explaining to the buyer why they need to use you or pick you over someone else. So in that regard, business hasn't really changed. You're always kind of negotiating your commission with the buyer and also the seller. It's just a matter of, working it within the contract or within the offer to make sure that your buyer is not stuck with the bill, having to foot the bill for your commission.
Interesting. Interesting. And Rudy, you mentioned just some of the documentation changes only. So it's almost blowing my mind a little bit that there's not a lot for as much hype as there was at the beginning of this year. Like people were losing their minds over this. I talked to a lot of potential agents, through my capacity, and it was a big question with how you guys gonna what are you guys gonna do? What are you guys doing to prepare? They were wanting to leave the brokerage because they weren't even putting trust in their brokerage at the time to have a plan, right? And Jordan obviously was touching on, being proactive, which is awesome because we were really prepared when it came. And it seems like it was almost all for nothing, right? I mean, there's got to be some reality to this. But Rudy, with you, compliance wise, are you seeing a lot of, is it just really documentation? And maybe touch a little bit more about what you guys have to do.
Yeah, listen, we just prepared our people to have a better sense of being able to review what's handed to us and help and sometimes meeting through and navigate through certain circumstances that may arise because of changes of commissions and ensuring that something as minor as our software, which automatically defaults to 3% each side, gets looked at. And so it's just really just dotting I's and crossing T's for us. Outside of that, though, we're here as a resource for agents to try to help in any capacity. But it really is. I wouldn't even say it's a compliance thing. It's just more of an added layer of paperwork to review and keep a set of eyes on.
Interesting. Well, let's talk a little bit more, Amber and Cass, about just like how do you that conversation, or like, well, how are you presenting yourself? How are you presenting the buyer brokerage agreement effectively and getting people to sign? If you haven't lost a lot of business and nothing's really changed in your production, like what's the difference?
I would say the only thing that the only thing that changed is I have to be intentional about slowing down, right? So like I'm a rapport monster. So I'm gonna build that relationship with my client. I want to earn their business. But before I could, just speed along the process. Like right now, I have to slow down and make sure that, the step is not missed. It is very easy to do, especially because you're building these organic relationships. So it's like, oh, about that thing, the BBA, you have to sign up. But I mean, the conversation is not difficult if you are building that relationship and building that rapport and building that trust, because that's what it is. They're not going to sign a BBA if they don't trust you. So you can't get the trust until you gain the rapport. So I feel like the focus should just be slowing down. We're going to get to that tour. We're going to get there at 2 p.m. We're going to get all those things. But first, let's have this initial conversation, let's set the stage on what this looks and feels like. That's very important. And if any agent is having challenges in the area of getting that BBA, a successful BBA signed, it is probably because they haven't slowed down to build that trust with that client. So that's my 2 cents.
And to add a nickel to that right there, I wanted to say this as well. It is building rapport, but also you need to have a buyer presentation packet, right? So on a listing appointment, everyone always goes in there with a listing presentation packet. Well, now we also need to have a buyer presentation packet. And when we discuss this with our buyers, getting the BBA signed is a matter of fact. It's not something that you had made up. It's not something that's just you're pulling out of thin air. It's just a very matter of fact. It's, you sign this, I represent you. We walk in there, I could talk to you openly about the property. You don't sign it, well, we can't go in there. And even if you did want to talk to me about the property, technically I'm representing the seller at that point. So it's a very matter of fact, but I think, we've been fortunate enough to be able to go in there with a buyer's presentation package, whether it's showing them what the dollar amounts that we've been able to get back for our buyers, or being able to help our clients get the most, I guess, what do I want to say? The most lucrative deal for them while they're purchasing, because every buyer is always looking for the best deal and every seller is trying to sell it for the higher dollar amount. But I think it's what Amber had said, you build that rapport and you do have a presentation, buyer's presentation package for yourself to show what you've been able to do and why you're successful. And then after that, it's really on your confidence in talking about matter of fact, what needs to be done in order for them to be able to move forward and seeing a house or maybe even purchase a house.
Correct. And I will say it's a skill thing. So like BBA, just to your point, like it is 100%, if a client does not sign it, that is on the agent. You did not do a good job. And again, this is not going to be a situation where you just wake up and say, hey, I want to be a real estate agent today and not work on these things, because they're essential. So for me, it's like, if somebody didn't sign a BBA, what did I do wrong on that call? Did I not present myself? Did I talk too fast? Did I use jargon that they got nervous and didn't, understand? So these are all things, again, going back to the speed. And it has been a challenge for me to slow down because, our brokerage is speed. Like, it is speed to get, things completed. So, and I'm fine with that, but you have to, just slow it down a tad, not snail pace, but slow it down so that you are speaking to, the audience and meeting the client where they're at.
Right.
You got
Yeah.
to slow down.
And you got to build rapport to know your client. Once you know your client, you know exactly what type of and how to have this conversation with them. But building
Right.
rapport, understanding where your buyer's coming from or your client's coming from first, allows you to be able to have a better, meaningful conversation and lead them towards like, being able to become a homeowner.
Right. I
Right.
love it. Spoken like pros. Well, let's just dig a little deeper since we have a little bit more time on this topic. Jordan has blessed the team, right? Real Estate provides a lot of leads for our agents, like a lot of Zillow inquiries, a lot of Realtor.com inquiries, and that's a whole different bird trying to build rapport in that little amount of time that you have. Building rapport and getting somebody that's in your sphere, your family or friends, your own network is one thing. How the heck are you getting somebody to sign something so quickly when you have literally seconds to build that rapport, get in the edge a little bit, and because they're hot on a property coming in, we want to get them through the cycle really quick. That's a whole different beast. Can you guys touch on that a little bit?
How'd you want to go?
Sure. I'll take this one first. So one thing, because of our speed, right? Because we do have Zillow coming in and, or Realtor.com coming in and they want to go see 123 Main Street today at 1 o'clock and we're talking to them at 11 o'clock, right? So at that point, what we've done and what I've found to be very successful is to be able to run the game play with our client, explaining to them exactly the steps that it's going to take for us to be able to meet at this property to open the door without overwhelming them. And again, it's about confidence and it's about a matter of fact, right? It's about being able to explain to someone that, you know what, you want to go see 123 Main Street, no problem. We could go ahead and do that. I'll get everything set up. But then I'm also going to have you be able to review this document that states you and I are going to be working together to go view this one property or many properties if there's multiple properties. And again, having the confidence in matter of fact and being ready to talk about what that agreement is for, where it came from, and why they need to sign it, say today versus maybe a year ago when they were touring and they didn't have to sign any of this, right? And that's where I've been able to get a little bit more traction, is being able to let them know what the next steps are. Being able to constantly lead our clients or be able to educate them on what's going to happen next, setting expectations. And from there, it's from what I've understood, it's more easy for them to be able to understand and filter why they're signing it and why we need to go about getting this paper signed, this BBA signed before I could even tour anymore or see a property.
Do you feel like, and I'm sorry, do you feel like you're having more success doing that over the phone or in person with your
No,
potential clients?
yeah, so it's in person is always gold for me. I
Right?
really I love it in person because in person you can really, they can't hang up on you, they can't run away. You're right there in front of them.
Right.
It's a little bit of both. So I have a whole bunch of these BBAs printed and I keep them in my car. And before
Smart.
tours, we speak about it. We'll send it to them to get signed. And then before we get to the tour, we're always constantly in touch with them to see if they signed it or not. Some individuals are like, listen, I'm not comfortable signing this online. I want to meet you face to face before I sign anything. No problem. I'll still meet with you at the property because I have it. If you sign it, we get to walk in. If you don't sign it, unfortunately, it was a waste of your time and mine. Now we're not going to see the property. But, I still always carry a whole bunch with me in my car,
That's good.
just in case someone shows up and says, I'm sorry, I forgot to sign it or didn't sign it, didn't even know it hit my inbox. Technology got in the way. Well, here's a paper and let's go and take care of it right now so we can walk in and get you this.
I like it. For me, similar take, I don't really hone in a lot, and I'm only speaking on the speed, back to Jason's original question. So, client, we have a small window. We have to get somewhere in an hour and a half. I'm getting the who, the what, the where, when, why very fast. And then I will take care of the rest in person. So before I end the conversation, I'm saying, hey, so in a few minutes, you're going to receive a BBA. It is our partnership. It's our partnership agreement, right? Look it over, sign it if you don't have any questions. If you don't sign it, I will assume that you have questions and we'll address those in person when I see you at 123 Main Street at 1 p.m. That's it. It's not giving you an option to tell me no, right? So I think it's positioning and confidence in how you're transitioning through that. Because it's okay. The expectation is for them to have questions. You don't know me and I don't you, and we don't know if this is going to be a good fit. Let's get used to saying that. Like, I don't know if I want to work with you either. Right?
Right.
It's not one-sided. It is a partnership. Like, I don't know if this is going to be a good fit. Yeah, like how you smell today, but all jokes aside, like it is a partnership and we both have to agree to work together to get you into this home. It's not one-sided. So you have to do your due diligence as I have to do mine, and that's what this BBA is representing. So
Got it.
yeah.
And Rudy, you're exposed to several different brokerages in your business, right? You're talking to some of the top teams all over Florida, up north. Are you hearing anything different
We
from the
are we are we are blessed, by the way. We deal with all walks of life.
right?
The Northeast, down south in Texas. And so, I am not actually, I'm not hearing much difference in any of the conversations that I am having with my realtor partners. To answer your question, it's pretty straight down the middle.
Got it. Jordan, any thoughts?
I think it just comes down, excuse me, to skills. Amber hit on that, and Kaz and Amber had great points. And Rudy and I are, I guess at this point we're considered. I thought we were like up and coming, right? He was at AmeriQuest and I was at mine for years, but now we're OGs, man.
Oh,
Yeah.
geez.
But like it's not changed. Like the tech that everybody has now, that's incredible. I wish we had an ounce of that before. But like it's dog work, right? You gotta wake up, you gotta hit your metrics. If you have follow-up boss, if you have different CRM, you have to hit your daily minimum metrics. If you hit that, you're gonna fail forward. It's really hard to do it. Now, if you're in front of a client, like Kaz and Amber were saying, and you're belly to belly and you don't know what you're talking about, it's not gonna go well. But that's the same thing it's always been, right? You want to get in front of somebody, you want to tell them how much you know, you want to listen to them, you want to be empathetic, you want to be curious, You want to be excited for them because they're buying a home, a dream home. But I mean, it just goes back to, for me, it's just, a lot of agents have to dust up on their skill work. There's a reason why 90% don't make it. Well, you're moonlighting as an agent. If you count the hours you work 11 hours a week. Go try to be an engineer and make engineer money, make 150 to 200 a year and work 17 hours a week. It's never going to work, right? Same thing.
Love it, guys. So it's almost like if you're running a good business, it's just part of the deal anyway. And a lot of the stuff we've been doing for a long time, we just made some minor adjustments based on some legal parameters that were set. Right. So that's interesting take, guys. Well, I appreciate everyone's feedback there. Let's really talk about, I don't want to call it a nothing burger because I think some people's income is getting impacted some, and maybe it's not. I don't know. It's really kind of, now that we're talking about the adaptation piece, the real reason, everyone's in business, right? To make money. So can we kind of just start digging a little bit deeper on the actual commission negotiations now? We're getting through the piece where we're having somebody actually sign the brokerage agreement, which is step one. And that's huge and monumental to some people. But if you're bringing that value, you're bringing that service, that should be almost you should be expected, right? This is why you need me. And this, I need you, the client. If you're the right fit for me too, here's why I'm the right fit for you, hopefully, and let's have a relationship going on. But now, the piece of that everyone's, I think, was the biggest fear for most people was just how do you negotiate getting paid still? Because let's face it, we deal with, especially we deal with a lot of first-time home buyers that they usually don't even have all the money for their closing costs. They all know about their down payment, but you start sprinkling another 5 or 6% for your closing costs, and I got to pay you for your services. Like, it's just all of a sudden the mind is blown. So let's dig deeper here, guys, if you don't mind, about the navigating through that commission negotiation. How is that working out?
So I will go ahead and take this first because I think for me, I love first time home buyers. I'm obsessed with them. Like I'm obsessed with getting clients and homes, right? And so for this transition, the reality is it is a possibility that your buyer may have to pay some of your commission. So elephant in the room, we all don't want to, we don't want to say this, but the reality is you have to find your avatar buyer again. And that's not the person that has $5,000, whereas I want to be, I want to help everyone. The reality is it's a possibility that you have to save a little more. And I cannot go to a seller and make this deal come together with the new rules. So again, and I will tell you, it does force us to have conversations previously that we avoided, right? So we were just like, strike the offer, let's see if it sticks and keep it moving. Oh, congratulations, you're under contract. But it's allowing the professionals, agent to agent, buyer agent to listing agent, to have conversations to see if this is something that could work for both sides. Whereas before it was optional. Like I remember thanking agents for answering the phone. Now you better be available, right? Because you don't know what I'm bringing you. So for me, I think you just have to slow down. And is this, like, realistically, can I get this client to the closing table with a house that's been on the market for 2 days, you know, asking for 6%, and I still want to get, and I expect to get paid by the seller. So I think figuring out what that threshold, you may have to get the ante and spend time on different clients. Not saying you don't nurture the clients that have $5,000, but I think, the highest and best use of your time is probably somebody that's a little more qualified in that regard. And as far as assets are concerned, I'm not saying like critter or anything like that, but I just think you can't just make everything work right now because of the new commission conversation.
Got it, Kaz?
I just want to add, first off, let's start off with this. Nothing has changed. The buyer has always been responsible for paying for their buyer brokerage commission. But since the beginning of time, we as agents, especially on the buy side, we always go and negotiate to make sure that the seller is the one who is going to pay our buyer brokerages. The listing agreements or the listing agents would do that ahead of time before we even got to the door to show them that property. Well, some of those have changed now, except for the buyer is still responsible to pay our commission. But what happens is, and this is what Amber was talking about, one, know your worth as an agent and know the buyer that you're working with. I love first-time home buyers because nothing satisfies me more than helping them buy a house. And you just see the smile on their face. But at the same time, those individuals might not have all the funds to be able to cover your commission and also their closing costs and everything else. So know your client, be able to talk to them up front about, okay, these are the homes we're going to go see. This is what the commission structure is going to look like. And if you've done your due diligence and you have been able to talk to, let's say I talked to Amber, she's selling 123 Main Street. I build a good rapport with Amber and I do ask her, what are we able to get commission wise? This is how much I charge, and you negotiate ahead of time before you make an offer, right? So I wanted to point that out real fast. That has not changed. That is not going to change. If the seller is not willing to pay your commission, it is your job to let the buyer know. If you buy this stuff, you're going to have to cover my commission. Let the buyer make that decision, right? It should always be your client's decision by you explaining to them kind of what's going on and what's happening with that. Now, I do want to mention this, and this is something I have noticed, right? Is asking for your commission, say you want 3% commission brokerage, but then your buyer also needs 4% seller concession. Something that I have been experiencing is sellers or the agents and so forth countering back and saying, I'll give your buyer 2%, but in order for me to give seller concession, you need to bring down your commission to 2% as well. And now, you know, you're there with a decision to make, because you know you could get this deal accepted and your buyer could potentially be able to make their 2% getting seller credit. But then now you need to figure out whether you're willing to shave off some of your points. And not only that, talk to your broker and see if your broker is even okay with you doing that. Right. So that is something that we are kind of starting to see a little bit more of, the sellers using that leverage of saying, if your buyer needs some cash back, well, then we'll take it out of your commission to try to give it to your buyer. And you just have to, again, stay firm and educate your buyer and the client and the seller of what you're bringing to the table.
Do you think that is coming from because a seller has agreed to pay, or excuse me, to offer less commission, or do you think that is a listing agent capitalizing on a scenario? The fact that they, instead of getting 3, can get 4% because the buyer's agent may not know their worth. What do you think is the direct drive from that?
You know, that's a good question. I can tell you on this particular one, the agent had told me that they were not planning on paying buy-side brokerage at all, and they were waiting to see what the offer was going to look like and what the agent was going to ask for. So, you know, this particular case, I do believe that possibly the listing agent, I mean, for whatever it's worth, could have done a better job explaining to her seller that they do need to pay the buy side to be able to, you know, get the home sold. But I don't believe that was the case in this one. In this one, it was just submit an offer, and if your offer is good enough and depends on what you're asking for, we'll decide whether we want to pay you or not.
Right, and Rudy, you're exposed to thousands of transactions at a time. What are you seeing with commissions? Is it has it deviated a lot from what it was a year ago as far as how things are paid out? Or are you seeing any impact there from a bird's
I
eye view?
a very little impact, but commissions have gone down and negotiated on the buyer side. I'm seeing a lot of 2% commissions, similar to what Kaz just mentioned, and it's impacted directly with the structure of seller concessions. It's kind of so what he explained in the situation has been seen often, actually, a lot more now.
So don't feel so bad, Cass. So it's a little impact, right? But across the board, we knew it was going to happen. What's interesting is, like, if nothing's changed that much in negotiation tactics, why are listing agents using it more as leverage now against the commission? You know what I mean? Like, is it now because they're aware now?
They can,
Maybe the seller's more educated.
yeah, they can.
That's
They
it.
have the
They
card.
just
They
can't.
hold the power.
They can't. Yeah.
And not only that, as a listing agent, your goal is to make them as much money as possible. So for you, you look like the superhero. And then, that seller is gonna say, hey, talk to Amber. She did her big one. It's amazing, So, that is a way to gain more referral business because they did capitalize, like, in that manner. I would hope that it's going back to the seller's pocket and the listing agent's not getting 4%, but hell, I mean, I would do it.
If you could, right? And Jordan, you're really hands-on with the team, which is pretty awesome. And the art of negotiation, helping everybody get better there, one of your skill sets for sure. What are you seeing, and what's your any suggestions there as far as advice or ways of supporting agents in the field that are trying to obviously make as much as they can on a transaction on the buyer side?
Well, all are good points, very good points. And the sellers forever have power. But if you think about the other side of it, is saying Amber hit on it the other, like a little bit ago, is listings are sitting in most markets 90 days. I mean, if you have a phenomenal listing and you go way below price, then could you sell it in 3 or 4? Of course. But I do recall during COVID and then way before COVID, the different cycles of markets when it's hot and cold markets, when there was food trucks outside of a 3-2 regular home, nothing special, nothing updated, but there's food trucks with ice cream and chicken waffles and all these different things. And there's lines of people trying to get into this regular house that currently is sitting for 90 plus days on the market. So you got to think, all right, well, if this is the game, it's good to see both sides. Well, buyers, 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 but it's good to see the listings too, because you feel the pain both ways. So now I know if 90% of the agents, and some agents, luck of the draw, they answer the phone, you want to list a place? Sure. How many have you listed? None. You're my first. Like you're going to get that, and it's terrible negotiation, terrible experience for seller and buyer. And that's tough to be in. But there are a lot of deals like that, and they're way overpriced. So the buyers, as much of authority in the deal do they think they not have? If you pull the plug on a deal or you don't put that offer out, you can see through to them and say, hey, I know you're listed high. I ran the comps. If I walk away, good luck, because you're probably going to get fired as listing agent because you shot too high on the price. So if that sits for another 90 days, how's that looking? Agent, how are you going to pay your mortgage? How are you going to give weekly updates to the seller? How are those conversations go? What the hell? Guys, you told me you're going to sell it 700,000 and nobody's even come. Like, because it's worth 600. So like, you just got to see through that and then know which deals you can strike on. And Kaz and Amber do phenomenal, and all of our agents do phenomenal at it. They can go through and see the pricing. They know when to strike and then when to play back a little bit and build more rapport with listing agents. So it is art of negotiation. Like every deal is different. You really got to look at it. You got to build rapport. You got to see what you're up against.
I dig it. Quick internal poll. Cass and Amber, scale of 1 to 10. How much has this 10 being the highest, 1 being the lowest? How much has this impacted your business? You guys are both still producing at a pretty high level since this happened. So 1 to 10, quick.
Oh, okay, so I'll give a number. I'll give a number.
Uh-oh, here we go.
But there's a reason for it. So I feel like my
I
business has
hope.
shifted. I'm gonna give a 9, right? But I have been heavily buyers based, right? Like I've always represented buyers, but I have had amazing success now transitioning to listings. So it has impacted my business. I don't have
9 out
as
of
I
10.
have as many listings as I have buyers. So, before I was 95% buyers only. So I would say it has heavily impacted my business.
Okay, Cass.
Yeah, I'm gonna give this one a solid like 2.5, 3. And the only way that it's really impacted my business is social media, the media itself, and the industry as a whole hiring on new agents and not training them properly on what is really going on. That's the only way it's really impacted my business. But other than that, no. I mean, this is something Amber and I have been doing since the day of time. We meet people. You need to sign an agreement with us in order for us to help you become homeowners. And that's simple as that. Obviously, we build rapport. We're both rapport monsters. And, we both do listings and we both do buy side. But at the end of the day, it's hasn't 2.5 hasn't really impacted me much. I just have 1 or 2 extra conversations that I need to have, and I have to do a little bit more building rapport with the listing agent to really find out what the seller's planning on paying the buy side. But other than that, not much.
Jason, didn't you ask for a number? See how great you see.
He,
Imagine being in meetings with these two. Like, hey, what do you think? Just yes or
he
no?
said
Well,
not.
let me pontificate on that.
I think
Like,
they're behaving well because we know what the
yeah,
normal is. So it's
I
this is
said
what
it
I deal
not.
with daily. This is what I deal with.
I said it
two and
not,
a
but
half and 9,
seriously,
but I
like
gotta
I
ask
wish
more
I
about
could be
this.
so lucky, but I mean,
Yeah,
no,
elaborate, please, Amber.
no, mean, I literally,
Twice a
I
month.
never knew that I was gonna have to have like listings as a core piece of my business, but the reality is you do, right? And
And you're
so
saying
because
that's
I
a result
know,
of after this, you made you realize that? That's what I'm just trying to figure out.
I mean,
That
well, we've been talking about this. Let's just be real. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and act like this just was pulled out of the sky.
right.
Like, I would say earmuffs, Jordan. I would say like this guy, like this is not happening for another 3, 4 months. Like, why are we doing this? But I get it. So we were prepared, and while people are now like deer in headlights, so we're guns blazing. Like we have everything that we need to do. And yes, we role played this 2, 3 times a week, and it was like eye rolling. But I get it. I understand why he, had us in this moment. I said earmuffs, he didn't do it. So there's that. He heard it. But
I like
no,
the real.
if you would have took me back to March when we first started practicing this, I never had a desire to have listings. To be honest, I like the hustle and bustle of representing buyers. But now I had to have listings, and I know that I can now provide more value on the listing side. So why not? But I was not expecting it to take off to the capacity in which it has. I'm thankful. But it does slow you down. And your transactions, they're coming. You have 7, 8 listings, but that's not the 30-day close. You have to market your beautiful listing. And sometimes that takes 3 months. So it's different business, all good business, but different business.
All right, fair enough. Well, we kind of elaborated a little bit on this prep work that went on. So next, thing we want to kind of touch on is just like the strategies. How do we get set up for success? How do we the strategies for like thriving in this new regulatory environment, right? So you touched on that role play, Jordan. You always are, ahead of the curve there. You've always been that visionary where you kind of saw in advance what was happening. And a lot of stuff wasn't news, but I think the being proactive is so huge because as Amber rolled her eyes, she knew it was a necessary evil to be successful here. So now when this time came, it's not that big of a deal. Has been some impact. There's always gonna be things that impact our businesses, right? That's life. That's a business cycle that every industry is going to face regularly, right? But like if maybe Rudy and Jordan, if you guys could start with this piece, like what are some things that or strategies for whether it's on the title side or the real estate side that have helped keep the momentum going in your businesses no matter what was going on out there? You guys are always ahead of the curve and always growing, which is pretty awesome.
Well, yeah, I'll start. Improvise, overcome, and adapt. And I know that sounds really cliche, but we stay my sales force, our sales force. We communicate clearly. We get creative. We adapt to the environment, and we also want to trend set. And so, what makes us unique and the reason for the growth and the expansion as of late and for the past few years has been consistent movement and emulating things that have worked in different areas and different regions of the country. But more importantly, being non-traditional. We don't want to be like any other title company. We never did. That's our model. We're completely different. We're unique in the way we approach things. We're unique in the way we sell, and we're unique in the way we train. And our culture has been created by us together as a family. And so that's been the secret to our success. But yeah, we went through, and Jordan can speak to this. I don't even remember exactly what year it was, but when Trid came out, Jordan, what year was that?
Geez, that was like '08, maybe '08 or
Right?
'09. Yeah.
Why? I mean, they took away something that was so simple. It used to be called HUDs for the people who weren't in the business before. And then they made it this disclosure. And we had to adapt on the fly with that. And I thought, initially, because it impacted us from a software perspective, but as well, it was just added layers of work that we weren't accustomed to. And look where we are now. What is it? 10, 12 years down later, and we're completely fine. So, that's just the cycle of the business. I've been in this business for 24 years now. So I've seen a lot of it, been through some recessions, uh, meltdowns, seen it all. And so I think just staying consistent with the message and understanding that people make the world go around and adapting to situations and circumstances, you'll be completely fine.
Awesome. Jordan.
Remember the HUD? It was like
I
one
love
and a half pages. First page was great. Second page was
the HUD.
signatures. Like it was so easy.
The HUD is
Then
the
you had
best.
to get then you gave me 3 pages and it didn't come back. And the closing, like, well, explain that to the client. Oh, I got to understand it first. I don't even know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
We
was
still
fun.
use HUDs for our cash transactions
So
as
much better.
private money stuff. So yeah, I mean HUDs. I love HUDs.
Yeah, so much easier.
Yeah.
I would say adapt or die.
Yeah.
So I've always said that you either adapt and you see what's coming, and there's a freight train coming at you, make decisions. Like the playbook is this. Well, in professional sports, are they keeping the same playbook week after week after week? No, the people watch game tape on you. So a guideline changes, the markets are changing. There's things out of your, well, it's not my fault. It doesn't matter if it's your fault or not. We have a rule, no excuses. Like it doesn't matter. Or I'm gonna do it Kaz's favor. I'm gonna do it later today. Like, can't say today, that's illegal. Can't say that because today's tomorrow's the next day. I'm picking on Kaz. He never says that. Uh, and how do you thrive? Like it's literally so easy. Like I'm my wife wakes up and she's clockwork, like the most disciplined that I could be around, right? She's up at 4:30, she's at the gym, we're racing each other to get to the gym. So the people that you have around you, like my kids, they're disciplined, they're ready to roll. You don't have to really say much. At times you do, depending on the younger ones, but you got to set those parameters on and just around because whatever is around you, if you have 2 or 3 people around that give a half-ass effort, right, that are lazy, like, yeah, I don't know if I want to do this, it takes everything out of you. So you could take that to your personal, because that's what drives you, and then you take it to the business. Well, if your personal's so freaking set up and you have your routine set from morning till night, it's if you win every day, like don't think about in 3 years, like you should have a 1, 3, and 10 year vision. You definitely should. Companies should have it personally. You should have that. But if you just really dug deep, every agent, every loan officer, title, doesn't matter. If you just won that, and were so disciplined, everybody around you, you're going to run people off or drive people towards you. Like people are going to want to fight to be around you because A, you're organized, you're not cloudy on anything you're doing, you're happy, you're motivated daily of what's going on, you're energetic, and you think clients feel that? They feel
I
that?
want to jump in for a quick second and say something. Changes, we look at them very opportunistically. So the fact that this happened uh, gave us an opportunity to get in front of more agents and educate them, right?
Mhm.
And when you can get in front of people, there's opportunity there. So for us, we don't we adapt to it and look at the opportunity behind it, which gave us the ability and the opportunity. We've had trainings on this consistently for the past few months, and even prior to, our people jumped on this as an opportunity. And I think the same goes for agents as well. They could look at this as an opportunity to get in front of more people, educate, and be the ultimate consummate professional, and gain business that way. Do more business because of it. And so for us, it's actually been a blessing. We've done more business because of it.
Mhm. It's going to weed people down, but the right people are in, the right people you want to be around. It's a lot of fun because now you're
Yeah.
not having those brain busting conversations. And the seller is feeling it, the buyer's feeling it too. And who do they blame? Us, right? But they don't know that I may have a buyer's agent or a listing agent. I may have a lender because that could happen. I may have a process. I may have somebody in title that doesn't know what they're doing, but they can blow up the deal. So now it's game on. So you better have your skill work ready.
It's like rules for life, I think, too. Like this is good stuff, guys. And Rudy, I agree 100%. Everybody I talk to in the space that shows that fear, I'm like, listen, man, there's opportunities and challenges with every single market, no matter what's going on out there. In 2021, there were plenty of opportunities out there and plenty of challenges that we were facing as well. So there's always good and bad, man. And the ones that figure out that piece and how to go for the good and dig deep and run that play are the ones that are going to make it every time. Cass,
Sure.
Amber, anything you guys want to add to that?
I'm relentless. So I mean that's just it. I wake up every morning. I mean, I have my morning routine, like gotta feed your personal first. I feel like that is 100%. Like I can't be a successful agent on the day to day if I'm not feeding my personal the most effective way. So piggybacking off of Jordan, and I get up early, I work out, I do all the things, right? But I do everything in a relentless way. So like I know, sorry, Cass, no one's gonna outwork me. No one. So um I'm open to
That's
all,
fired.
yeah,
Shots
it is.
fired. There's a lot of shots coming. Got it.
Phew,
I heard it.
With love.
I heard it.
With
Um,
love. But no, seriously, be relentless. Like, and don't just say that I'm relentless. Like, eat, sleep, and breathe it. Like, that's what I do. I'm a relentless person. There's nothing that I cannot accomplish. And move out my way because I'm coming.
Hmm.
So, yeah,
I will add to that as well. And as far as being relentless, and you need to have a mindset of no one's going to outwork you. But then sometimes it's not about just working hard. You need to be disciplined and you need to be, stay focused. But more importantly, why are you doing what you're doing? Why are you doing it? If every day you're waking up and you have a why of why you're doing what you're doing, stick to the game, stick to the plan, stick to the play, stick to your discipline. Um, that has been the biggest thing I know for myself has really helped because, like Amber, like Jordan, I do get up. I get up early as well, and it's not only about being up early because you think you're going to be up faster than the other person. No, it's, what am I trying to get accomplished today? Right? Like, what what are my initiatives for today? And I think a lot of individuals get sidetracked. And that's where your discipline comes in and your why comes in. And if your why is not strong enough, your discipline can fall through. And if your discipline is not strong enough, your why will go to the wayside. So you need to bring both of those together and you need to have a vision of what you're going to do every day and what you're trying to get out of every day. You might not win every day, but if you learn every day, that's a win in itself.
I agree. So I would like to say this, like if the number one strategy, like, cause I wasn't always relentless, right? I was definitely a little chihuahua in the corner, just scared to write an offer and go on tour. But the one thing I got comfortable with doing, Jordan, do not look at me. You gotta get comfortable with failing forward. Oh God, you gotta get comfortable doing that. And do it every day if you have to until it doesn't feel bad. So like failing forward in this, environment is gonna be the key to, outlasting those who, fall. So for sure, failing forward.
Lovely.
And Jace,
Yeah.
with Kaz and Amber, they do a great job at this. And when he's saying daily, like boil that down. So you want to, like in this, we want to give contribution. We want to provide, the best of the best. If we can help somebody, do 2 deals or 3 deals or 15 deals a month, awesome, man. But when you're boiling it down, like, what do I do daily? I'm like, hit your amount of calls you want to make. Make 60 to 100 calls. Do 200 text messages. Do 50 to 100 emails a day. And but don't just email random stuff. Talk about the World Series, right? That's great. Talk about football. Talk about college. Like talk about pizza joints. Anything else you have, be real to the clients, and then focus on your conversations. If you can get up to 20 to 30 conversations a week, like real conversations past 2 minutes, that's gold. Like if you just take that, if you took anything from this in general, there's great ideas in here. Take that, but that's your daily focus. If you do it, you're going to be top producing in any business you're at.
Yeah, I agree. We always talk about activities and skills, right? We can fix all the skills, but I can't fix your activities. You have to have that engine, and it starts with your why. If your why is big enough, it'll gas your engine. But we can't fix that. You have to bring that from within, and we can always work on those skills. And that's awesome stuff, guys. And we'll open up the floor now. We're almost to the time here. So if there's any questions and answers, anybody or questions that anybody has, we'll provide some answers for you in the audience. Please feel free to fire away. You have some horsepower in front of you. You get some really good feedback. If you have any questions, please throw it out there. And while we're waiting for some questions to populate, maybe if everybody could just give maybe one, we already kind of did, maybe one nugget you can share, whether it's real estate related or life related. What's one nugget? Cass, I'll start with you.
Intention. That's the biggest nugget I could give anyone is, every day I wake up, I have an intention to do something today, whether it's to be with my kids, whether it's to make 1,000 phone calls, whether it's to drive 4,000 miles to show houses. What's your intent, right? If you're passionate about what you do and you have the right why for it and your intent is there, you will find success for yourself. You will find success. It's not pixie dust, I guess, and it's not magic. It's just, why are you doing what you're doing? And have discipline and intent with everything that you do. Be meaningful with every step you take.
Love it. Rudy?
People. People are everything. People make the world go round, and having a better understanding and of people and their psychology and being able to adapt to those circumstances, however they present themselves, will make you successful in anything. It's all about people.
Awesome. JV.
Being able to reload fast. So Rudy and I played basketball. If you were in a slump, right, and you're not shoot, you're gonna walk off the court, you're gonna quit the season because you had a
Yeah.
bad game. You got to reload, man. I'm gonna shoot it again. You pass it to me, I'm gonna shoot. I don't know what's going in. I feel good, but you're gonna pass. I'm gonna shoot. So Kaz had the deal fall out last night. I was at a volleyball game, jumped in the text, client running him around, did phenomenal job with it, negotiated his butt off, got $30,000 back for the client. He's running him ragged, right? And then what's he do this morning? He gets up, Groundhog Day, get up, let's go, time to go. We're gonna never amnesia, didn't happen. So I'm just gonna go again. Amber had a deal yesterday, negotiated her butt off, got $19,800 negotiated for the client. Perfect deal, right? At the end, and these are at the end, right? Client says, don't want to do it. And then going through, running ragged, doing all these things. But what does she do? Does she hide under her pillow with a blanket over her and say, this is going to be a bad day? Or she drink, they go drinking or do stuff. And like, no, you wake up, you work out, you kiss the family, whatever you have to do. Like you log in at 8 o'clock. I'm going to make the calls. I'm going to do 8 to 9, 9 to 10. Like I'm going to go through my processes daily. And that's why they're winners.
Awesome. Amber.
My one last nugget. I feel like failing forward is my last nugget, like because
it.
I'm doing it every day, right? Like I know I keep saying that, but yeah, failing forward
Did you
and
have to do
just
that with these buyer brokerage agreements to a degree to really figure it out and dial in?
okay. So here's the thing. I will tell you a nugget. Read the room, maybe because I'm like cheerleader all the time, and sometimes cheerleader is not
Sure.
necessary to have these conversations, right? Or it may be inappropriate. So I would say just make sure that you're reading your client and make sure some people don't require BBA because they follow the news and they follow everything. So they know that this is coming. This is a conversation that Amber is getting ready to have with them. Others have no clue. They just was like, hey, you want to shoot you get our shot at go on and let's put something on Zillow and see if we can look at Main Street. But just being able to read your client and be the agent, be that chameleon that you need to be, so that the transaction can be effortless. But I still feel like my biggest nugget for anybody is, oh wait, I'm lying. Get a freaking coach. I don't care what are you doing. What you're doing, get a coach. You don't know what you don't know. It doesn't have to be a big coach. You could be a little coach, a medium-sized coach, but get a coach. If you feel like you're not thriving or like getting results that you know you deserve, then I would say start with a coach. Game changer.
I like it. It's a quote I heard recently. It was about like how all pros have coaches, only amateurs don't. And it
Yeah.
really kind of resonated with me. All right, good stuff. I'll say just be authentic. Be authentic, be yourself, give a heck. Because I think that really, you talk about reading the room, clients can read us as well, right? It's the same, like they can tell if you're sincere, if you're not, if you say who you say you are and are who you say you are, right? And I think, when I started in production way back when with Jordan in 2017, I didn't know anything about the space, right? I could talk to people, but I didn't know anything. I was so scared to death to talk to people. But so just be yourself, just be yourself. But the fact that I cared, I think they could tell that I work my ass off for them. It just translated. They could tell it was sincere, and that's how business started. But if you're yourself, I think it just helps. Try to be somebody you're not. Start somewhere. Work on getting better if you need to, right? But like, just be yourself, be authentic, and people can read that, and it helps with getting through some of those rapport building challenges if they know you're being real and coming from the heart. All right. Well, some just key takeaways. It sounds like this was a huge thing, but it's not, right? I think everybody that really knows how to overcome and succeed in life has realized that this is just another challenge or another roadblock or another hurdle that had to overcome like everything else in life, right? Rudy, you touched on this being like, reminded you of the old HUD days. That's funny. I can bring that up too. It's like, man, it just feels like this is what happened. This with real estate now, this feels like what happened to lending in 2008 and 9. It's just real estate's version of it, right? But the ones that are going to persevere, the ones that are going to do they're going to make the most money and have the most success. They're not fearful of it. They know it's a challenge, it's an obstacle. They're going to plug through, right? And but if everyone does what they're supposed to do every day and has a big enough why, we should all be just fine, right? Any closing thoughts from anybody? My talkers aren't talking.
Got nothing. This was powerful. This was beautiful. So I appreciate the invite for sure.
Yeah, very, very humbled and appreciative at the fact that you guys invited me on. Jordan, it's good to see you again, man. We got to get together very, very soon. I'll be in your neck of the woods, I think, before year's end. So chop it up then.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
Thank you,
Kaz,
everybody.
Great
Yeah, you
job.
guys,
No.
every one of you guys are busy pros in the space. So thank you so much for jumping on and sharing your wisdom, because I think if ever anybody was watching, I'm sure got a lot out of this. And as a thank you for all the attendees out there, guys, don't be afraid to ask for help. But for attending, we're gonna send you some. We have some phenomenal scripting that Amber uses, Kaz uses. They teach their teams how to overcome a lot of these objections, because it's not that hard. Yes, you have to role play. Yes, you have to try to get better. But if you practice with your peers, it's super easy when it comes to dealing with a client, right? So don't be afraid to jump in and get the work done. But we're going to share some awesome content with you guys. You'll get it via email so that you can get better in the space. And if you ever want to reach out, you can reach out through social media to Re in Real Estate, through our website. Just reach out anytime. We're always happy to jump on a call and just talk shop. No obligation to do anything with us, but try to get better together. We might pick your brain for some info too. But thank you again for everybody for jumping on.
And
All right,
Jason,
guys.
No, thank you,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Appreciate it.
Have a great day, guys.
Jason, you brought out your Mamba mentality, man. We appreciate it. Great job.
Bring it out of me,
Thank
sir.
you,
All right,
Jason.
guys. Take care.